Shabbat Shalom, good evening everybody, and thanks for tuning in on this Friday night for Shabbat services here at Temple Beth. As you can see, I'm going to be solo tonight. Fine is on a much-deserved vacation at this point, so you guys at home have to sing even louder to make sure all our voices come together for this special Shabbat service. And how wonderful a day it is to be together. Start off with Ma Yafeh Hayom on page 10 in our prayer book. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. And we're on page 9 for reading on the bottom of the page. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope. For Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living. For Shabbat memories, glowing even in darkness. For Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessings, O God. Turn now to pages 3 and 2 for the reading and the blessing over the Shabbat candles. And we actually have such a big tech team tonight. They're going to be helping me out with this. And for the blessing over the candles, I'd like to invite up to the front Benny Becker. Sally Salkin, if he would like to as well, join us as well. He's manning tech, so it's going to be Barney who will be reciting a reading and the blessings over the candles. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can I be seen here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own way, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. And as we welcome in Shabbat, we turn to page 20 for Lecha Dodi as we welcome in the Shabbat bride.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem al tiferet ve'letila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor haberacha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Number 5.
התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
For the last stanza, please rise and face the entering door wherever you are at your home.
בואי בשלום ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Please have a seat. While we're on the welcome wagon, we turn to page 24 for Shalom Aleichem as we welcome in the Shabbat angels as well.
שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בחוני לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
And for the Chatzi Kaddish, we turn to page 26.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמך רבה, ועל מה דברך יראותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
And on page 28, we rise, please, as you're able at home, for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, and face east, wherever that is in your direction.
Nine, 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 ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך, המבורך לעולם ועד. המבורך, המבורך לעולם ועד.
On page 31 on the top, we read together in the English. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. For Ahavat Olam, we turn to page 32.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha avta, Amcha avta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu, ufkomenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratcha, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please have a seat. Page 36 for the Wehrhafter. Let's join together.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On page 39 on the top. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there's a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Michamocha is on page 40. I would like to try a tune I'm not sure you're familiar with. It's by Mark Lipson. He's a rabbi I worked with while I was in Norwalk, Connecticut, interning with him. It's a beautiful tune that I wanted to bring in here tonight.
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים. זה לי, ענו ואמרו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כבוד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
For the Hashkavenu, we're going to be doing the creative reading on page 43 on the bottom. Together, give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter, into the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare us for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 44 on the top. Let's join together for V'shamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. About to turn to page 46 for the Tefillah or Amidah, the standing prayer. Everybody at home, please rise where you are and face east. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibur v'hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, ומלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Please have a seat. We're on page 55 on the top. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. On page 57 in the middle, please join together. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, shotecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. For the Mudim, our prayer of thanksgiving on page 58, take a moment to think about what were some things you're grateful for in the last week that just passed. And if you want to, feel free to share them in the chat at the bottom. And take a moment for this and come back then.
bottom of the page together, the Chatima, the closing. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulechana lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you're worthy of thanksgiving. On page 60, we have Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. Take a moment of silence now for the prayers of our heart. Feel free to use the readings on page 62. We're going to be coming back there in a moment. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. The past, the present, and the future walk into a bar. Says the barkeeper, "Oi, that's gonna be a tense crowd tonight." Give it a moment. In the words of the 2016 Nobel Prize winner for literature, Bob Dylan, the times, they are a-changin'. And still, us Jews often get the reputation of being a history-centered people with a constant culture of memory. On pretty much every occasion, there's something from our history to be remembered. Just pick a random holiday, Pesach, Sukkot, during which we remember the exodus from Egypt, or the 40 years of wandering in the desert. But while many other people of the world also treasure their history, us Jews take this goal to a whole new level. Our history does not simply start with our ancestor, Abraham, the first Jew, as we see in our tradition, but it rather goes back all the way to the very creation of the world, an event we remember every week when we recite the Shabbat Kiddush, Zecher L'Maaseh Bereshit, in remembrance of the work of creation. In this week's Torah portion, Noach, we continue to dive into the retelling of our people's remote past with the generation of Noah. Since I'm sure you're all very familiar with the story of the Great Flood, I want to have a look with you guys today at another story that's also found in this portion, which is usually put more on the back burner, the story of the Tower of Babel. While there are full 4 chapters devoted to the story of Noah, the story of the Tower of Babel is dealt with in only 9 verses. To give you the short version, at that time, all the people in the world spoke the same language and lived in the same place, the land of Shinar in Babylonia. One day, they decided to build a tower, Verosho Beshamayim. Its top was in the sky. When God saw what they were doing, God decided to scramble up their one language into many different ones and to spread out the people over all the earth so that they could no longer understand one another and would also stop to continue their building project. So much for the story as the Torah relates it to us. Now you might think, ain't that lovely? Not a nice Bible story, how many languages in the world and peoples, how they came about to be. And you're not wrong. The story of the Tower of Babel is the Jewish version of an ideological myth, the way that ancient peoples explained the world they lived in. But there's more to the story. For example, it's not at all clear what exactly was so offensive that God saw the need to put the whole building project, Babel, on hold. And on top of that, also disperse all the people and mix up their language. The rabbis of the Talmud discussed this question at length and, surprise, surprise, came up with several different answers. Rabbi Jeremiah ben Elazar explained that the generation of the dispersion split into 3 parties. One party sought to ascend to heaven and dwell there. The second party sought to climb up to heaven and serve idols. And the third party sought to get up there to wage war with God. The party that wanted to live in the heaven was the one that was getting dispersed. And those who wanted to wage war with God, those were turned into apes, spirits, devils, and night demons. Of course, what else? As for the other party that wanted to get up to heaven and serve idols, God confused their language. Rabbi Nathan further supports the latter explanation by saying that that generation was all about idolatry, and quotes as the people's motive, Lema'an na'aseh lanu shem. Let us make a name for ourselves. By elevating their own name, he says, people were trying to overshadow God's great name in the world. I might wonder, why do I bother telling you all this? Well, if you actually look around the world today, you can still see people building towers to their own fame. It started comparatively modestly in pre-modern times, mostly with European churches, such as the Cathedral Notre Dame in Rouen, France, or Cologne Cathedral in Germany, both of which are about 500 feet tall and were finished in the 1880s. After that, tall buildings were pretty much built because they could. Among them are the Eiffel Tower in Paris, finished in 1889 at a height of almost 1,000 feet, followed in the 1930s by the Chrysler and Empire State Building in New York. The Eiffel Tower in particular was only constructed for the Great World Fair in Paris in order to show the world what man can do at the dawn of the industrial age. But especially during the last 10, 15 years, this race for who's got the tallest building went into its next round. The 2,000 feet mark in height was reached in 2010 by the Tokyo Skytree in Japan, measuring 2,080 feet. And the currently tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, or Tower of Khalifa, which is located in the city of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, at a whopping 2,722 feet tall. Unfortunately, we seem to encounter the same motives again as did our ancestors many thousands of years ago during the age of the Tower of Babel. Self-aggrandizement at all costs seems to have returned. There was an interview on TV news magazine 60 Minutes where Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, was asked, why was he doing all this? And why was he doing it so fast? His answer was, because I want to be number one. I want to be number one, not just the region, but the whole world. I want to be number one in everything, in healthcare, education, power, and prestige. Sounds familiar? Lema'an na'aseh lanu shem. Let us make a name for ourselves. Unfortunately, the Sheikh didn't quite seem to have gotten the warning of what havoc human hubris can wreak in the story of Tower of Babel. On top of that, the BBC and Human Rights Watch did a report on the horrible treatment of the workers during the construction of the Khalifa Tower. The workers weren't locals, but rather imported laborers from Southern and Southeast Asia, who were housed in terrible conditions and paid less than $5 a day for their long hours of exhausting work. Construction was actually brought to a temporary halt in 2006 when 2,500 workers started a riot against the exploiters. When I read this, I was reminded of another rabbinic midrash. Rabbi Phineas taught that the land of Babel had no stones with which to build the city and the tower. So they baked bricks until they built the tower 7 miles high. If a worker fell off the tower and died, they did not care for him. But if a brick fell, they sat down and wept, asking when another brick would come in its stead. According to Rabbi Phineas, this gross neglect of human life over the construction of the tower was the ultimate reason God intervened and stopped the building. The lesson that stories such as the one of the Tower of Babel and the Tower of Dubai teach are to remind us of the ongoing need to work towards a just society and the humane treatment of all people as our highest priority, and not some vain plans of self-aggrandizement. The times there might be a change in, let's make sure that the regard and care for our fellow human beings keeps up with that as well. Shabbat Shalom. For the announcements, I would like to invite Sylvia Fredkin to share those with us.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to all who have joined us this evening for our virtual Erev Shabbat service from the sanctuary as well as the home of various congregants. Thank you to Rabbi Dewey for leading us tonight in your first solo service since joining us. Thank you. Thank you to Benjamin Zivan, Bob Garden, Ronnie Becker, and Sally Selkin for handling the service production and broadcast. If you are interested in helping with this and want to help ensure we continue streaming, as well as running sound in the sanctuary, contact Aaron Peterson or Jordan Harris to join the Temple Tech team. We have a number of opportunities to gather, learn, and celebrate in the coming days and weeks. Friday services will continue to be made available on Facebook Live, YouTube, and on the Temple Bethel website. Details on how to find the live services can be found on the live streaming webpage. Note that all Friday services are back to 7:30 p.m., except for the last Friday of the month, which will be at 6 p.m. Saturday morning services are on Zoom. The Zoom link is found in the weekly Shabbat Shalom email. Tomorrow we have Torah study at 9 on Zoom. Shabbat morning service is at 10 on Zoom. Zoom Havdalah will be tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Our religious school will begin regular Sunday classes this Sunday. They will be on Zoom for the time being, and teachers should have sent out the Zoom links. The Sisterhood General Meeting will be Tuesday, October 26th. For the safety of all, we took a break from in-person services before moving indoors. We are finalizing our service attendance protocols and hope to return to in-service services in the sanctuary by later this month. In order to do so, we will need the efforts of our service supporters again. If you are interested in helping, please contact Erin Peterson. Registration and COVID vaccination verification will be required to attend. More communication will be sent out to the community next week. As always, you can view services on Facebook, YouTube, and the TV website. You can interact and comment on both Facebook and YouTube. The Judaica shop will be open on Fridays from 10:30 to noon and by appointment. As always, if you need help or are willing to help those in need, please contact Temple clergy, staff, or leadership. I hope everyone stays safe and well. Shabbat Shalom.
All right, thank you, Sylvia. Shabbat Shalom to you as well.
You're welcome.
Next, we're going to be turning to the Mishiberach, our plea for healing, which you can find in your books on page 253. But before that, take a moment to think of those who are in need of that healing. If you want to share their names, either out loud or in the chat, please feel free to do so. So in the middle of the page, of page 253, let's join together for the Mishiberach. Mishiberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. This we turn to the closing prayers of our service, starting with the Aleinu on page 282. We'll be jumping to page 287 from there. Please rise one more time as you're able and face east. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, לתת קללה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו כהים, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please have a seat. On page 291 on the bottom. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. On this Shabbat, the ones who are in period of mourning, Shiva or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days, please rise at this moment. From our community, we remember Rita Lowenthal, and to all the mourners, we extend traditional words of consolation. Hamakom yinachem etchem, betoch she'ah v'alei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. And from our community, those who are marking a yard site, please rise at this moment. Remember from our community this week, Edelyn Barty, Reva Dryan, Sidney Fine, Norman Fishman, Ben Flax, Evelyn May Fraser, Marsha Goldsmith, Kenneth Hyman, Barbara Binder-Cadden, Emilia Klein, Sharon Leifson, Hope Mayer, Sylvia Michelman, Martin Rosenberg, Robert Russ, Harry Ruth, Lester Schumacher, William Sherman, Ida Taylor, and Robert Warnick. If there's anybody else of whom you're thinking at this time and season, please feel free to share their names out loud or in the chat if you would like.
page 294 is the Monas Kaddish. Please rise one more time as you are able. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemir Rabba be'alma tivrach hirotei be'amlich malchotei b'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'fchayei d'chol Beit Yisrael b'agala u'bizman karif v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemir Rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitada v'yitale v'yitalal Shmei d'Kudusha berichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memory be a blessing. Please be seated. So before we close, once more, thank you to everybody who had a part in the service today. To Sylvia Fredkin for announcements. Our Temple Tech team, very strong here tonight. Thank you guys so much for helping out with that. Benjamin Ziven, Bob Garden, Barney Becker, and Sally Salkin for your support, and also for the lighting of the candles here tonight as well. And before we hit into Kiddush and Motzi, as a closing song, I'd like to do Shir Chadash, which you can find on page 344. We read about like the Tower of Babel and the many different languages and nations of the world. This is Sing to Unto God All the Earth, a new song, which I thought was a very appropriate closer for tonight. Page 344 in the middle. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. And for the Kiddush and Motzi, please turn to page 5. Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereishit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki banu b'chata ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Right, and number 2, the Motzi. Together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tehavon. All right, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for tuning in, and good night. Shabbat Shalom.